You're listening to Public Radio Now.
Hello, I'm Hack Jobkey, and welcome. You're probably used to hearing WRYAT on this station, and do not fear, because that is not going away. However, WRYAT is now a local affiliate of Public Radio Now, the South's third largest public radio network, and the nation's eighth largest public radio syndicate. That means WRYAT will bring to you more of what you love about public radio, more passive-aggressive news analysis, more thoughtful hand-wringing about things you can't control, more vocal fry, and self-interested navel-gazing. And of course, tote bags. Never forget your PRN tote bags, which were lovingly handcrafted out of industrial hemp by Taiwanese refugees in China. You're probably a longtime listener of WRYAT, New Orleans' fifth-ranked public radio station since the 1930s. Like always, they're still broadcasting live out of a prefabricated Home Depot shed located off of South Carrollton by the now-closed Popeyes. But here at PRN, we know the phrase public radio means you need to have the highest of standards, and we want to bring WRYAT up to those standards by getting them an actual recording studio in an actual building.
I just need a women's restroom hack.
Or a gender-neutral restroom.
That's WRYAT producer Madison Yasqueen and assistant editor-in-chief Feelings Oppenheimer. Say hey, guys.
Hola.
Ciao.
So, yeah, we want to get you that proper restroom, Madison.
Muy magnifico.
And the way we're going to do it is, now that we have access to WRYAT's library of content, we're going to use it and our national clout to hold a pledge drive and raise funds to bring the station up to the level of PRN.
I love it. I can't wait to have janitorial services so I don't have to start my workday disposing of squatter syringes.
And if we can hire someone whose trabajo it is to empty out the trash cans, I won't have to buy a new one each day.
And there's more, Madison. When the people at home call in and give money, they give you a chance to one day get paid.
And what do they get in return? Classic radio shows like Boat Talk, Left, Right, and Kenner. Wait, don't stab me. Louisiana Smells with Mumsy Grabum, The Meth Radio Hour, The Reading Love, This American Liposuction, Loop Guru's American Liner Notes, Woke Stocks. I could go on and on.
And don't forget the tote bags, Madison. Every third call gets a tote bag that says PRN.
And every sixth caller gets a PRN yoga mat.
And every 100th caller gets a PRN baby stroller that can hold as many as 3 cats at once.
And one random lucky caller will get to have tapas with David Sedaris' mother.
Oh, I bet she has so many quirky but heartbreaking stories about her son as a baby. And I bet they all illustrate the fragility of the human condition.
But most importantly, you get to feel like you're a good person, because we will tell you that repeatedly when you send us money. Just call in to 1-800-PRN-GIVE. That's 1-800-PRN-GIVE and donate today. Now let's start by showing you what this great station has to offer. Here's a classic episode from the WRYAT morning news program, Y'all Things Considered.
There's a conflict in Washington, tensions with China and Russia, and war in the Middle East. So, what else is new? It's time for Y'all Things Considered. Y'all Things Considered is the South's 4th most trusted name in news. We've got lots of stories for you today, but first, Y'all Things Considered has gotten a lot of letters from listeners lately asking why the news is always so negative. Because of that, today's edition starts out with some positive news. Our first story today is kittens still exist. If you want a kitten, you can likely get one. Now, moving on to the real stuff. A New Orleans construction crew spit chewing tobacco out of their trucks on Wednesday, and the entirety of Mid-City flooded. In response to the flooding, the New Orleans Sewage and Water Board issued a boil crawfish advisory. They advise you to boil your crawfish because, quote, it is delicious. Critics have reacted to this by saying that crawfish is out of season. The Sewage and Water Board have countered by stating, whatever. They then took a collective nap, and they are not expected to wake up until the next crawfish season begins. The New Orleans Police Department has put crime cameras around the city that will automatically issue you a ticket if it captures you walking in public in cargo shorts. The tickets will be to see the band 311 in concert. Partly due to these cameras, the NOPD say the conventional crime rate is slightly lower than the city's 300-year historical average. However, they also report that supervillain crime has risen dramatically in the Crescent City area. There has been a 17% increase in exotic museum heists, a 20% increase in giant ice ray discharges, a 40% increase in infinity gem theft, and a 60% increase in giant bomb countdown displays. When asked what he thought about the rise in supervillain crime, the New Orleans police superintendent said, "I would hire Batman to fight it, but I don't know anyone who does that in my family." Now, with a more in-depth look, here's a report from our On the Beat reporter, Teak Pilates. Teak?
I'm Teak Pilates, and here in New Orleans, it seems crime is following the national downward trends. Due to limited local options, it's been difficult to get a crime expert in the studio, but thanks to my producer, Madison Yazqueen, we have been able to get someone on short notice, NOLA crime expert and new WRYAT contributor, Professor Samuel Cork. Morning, Professor. How are you doing during these challenging times?
For academic like myself, I find everything fascinating, Teak. So I'm doing quite well.
Ah, okay. So what do you make of the crime that we've been seeing?
It's astounding, Teak. I've never seen anything like it in my whole entire life. We were inching to an all-time low, but now we're seeing dips in every category except shoplifting, business burglaries, some domestic violence.
Uh-huh. Listen, Professor Cork, if you don't mind me asking, you sound young. How old are you?
How is that relevant, Teak? Here we are, in the midst of a procession, and you want to spend valuable radio time talking about my own personal demographic attributes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Professor. I didn't mean to disrespect you. I'll keep it to the numbers. So, what's the big takeaway on how everyone should think about crime in the city of New Orleans?
The NOPD has data showing a consistent downward trend over the past 2 months, beyond anything we ever imagined. But all of this will go out the window if government doesn't intervene with economic relief. Desperate people resort to desperate measures.
Thank you for your time, Professor Cork. We'd like to have you again in the future.
What? Oh, my mom says to say thank you, and she says I earned the ice cream treat, so I'm going to eat that now. Bye.
This concludes the interview. I'm Teak Pilates.
Thank you, Teak. Now, with weather. We brought in another celebrity weathercaster. It's all part of PRN's push for us to make WRYAT more mainstream. This week, it's famed bounce rapper artist Big Frida.
For Monday.
Cloudy, 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 cloudy.
For Tuesday.
It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain.
For Wednesday.
Thunder like a booty clap. Thunder like a booty clap. Thunder like a booty clap. Thunder like a booty clap.
For Thursday.
Cloudy, 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 cloudy. Gonna like a booty clap. Gonna like a booty clap. Gonna like a booty clap.
For Friday.
Sunny. Time for gin.
And now for sports. Let's go to the sports desk.
Good morning. This is the Public Radio Sports Desk, and I'm Public Radio Now sports anchor Osha Hippa. 3 members of the New Orleans Saints football team are out on bail after a club fight. 4 Saints are in jail for aggravated assault with a firearm, and 3 of the 4 Saints running backs are being held for questioning regarding a carjacking ring. In unrelated news, the New Jersey Devils held a potluck to raise funds for orphans. The administrator of St. Joseph's Orphanage said he can't wait to use the money to run a carjacking ring. Another development at the NHL this week, the pile driver is once again legal. Running leg drops remain a benchable offense. Also, part of a developing story, the NBA draft happened this week. 5 elderly sports team owners got pneumonia. Next up, we have a special report for our senior sports reporter, Hank DeHonda. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning and salutations, my fellow news correspondent.
What's going on in the sports world today?
Oh, what isn't going on? Triumphs earned, hopes dashed, dreams realized, and perhaps a little friendship found along the way.
Well, that sounds great, Hank. What happened?
Life happened, and while life was happening, we continued happening with it, loving and learning on this big blue marble spinning in space.
No, but I mean, do you have any results from the games?
I do! It turns out, with a little bit of dedication and a lot of discipline, some can excel at this thing we call sports, and that is a raison d'etre indeed.
Uh-huh.
At the same time, others fall short of their goals, and they must adapt to a new reality beyond their initial dreams, a painful but possibly rewarding opportunity for growth.
I see.
But never fear. All athletes must eventually come to understand that the true highest score is self-realization.
Hank, you haven't watched any of the games, have you?
Oh, what? That's preposterous. Of course I have.
Can you tell me about what's happening in basketball then?
No, unfortunately. They've been ending too late for an older gentleman like myself. I've fallen asleep before the end of every game this week. Life experience has taught me that it's exactly as the old saying goes. Watching basketball is a young man's game.
Baseball then? Can you talk about that?
Oh, I'd love to, but I'm boycotting baseball until all offensive team names are changed to acceptable ones.
You're upset about the Braves.
No, the Washington Nationals. I don't approve of nationalism.
You think the name encourages something bad?
Well, I think I'd be much more comfortable if they were called the Washington Citizens of the World.
So you're upset about the Nationals, but you're not upset about the Braves?
Why would I be upset about someone being brave? That's a wonderful thing. In fact, I wish the Nationals would show a little bravery and acknowledge their problematic nationalism.
Well, okay, so if we can't talk about baseball or basketball, what can we talk about, Hank?
Well, over the years, I've found myself becoming blasé about your mainstream sports, which seem to follow the same tired narratives of capitalistic excess, militaristic discipline, and individual exceptionalism. But lately, I've been getting into a new, less covered pastime teeming with life and fresh perspectives.
And what's that?
Adult kickball leagues.
Okay, well, what do you have to say about adult kickball leagues?
I covered a game for WRYAT last night. Here are the highlights of the game.
Good evening, adult kickball fans. I'm your play-by-play analyst, Brian TBD, and this is my color commentator, Hank DeHonda.
Namaste, Brian.
And today, we're watching the Brooklyn Lakers versus the Mid-City Manwitches. Any predictions, Hank?
One day, we'll realize we're all on the same team and all humanity will come together as one.
Okay, fair enough. Let's get to the action. What a kick down center field. That's from the lady with the nickname Nardballer, judging by her jersey, and she looks to have taken first base.
And the design on the Manwich's shirts is exquisite. It reminds me of when I saw the bodysuit for Mr. Mistopheles in the first run of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Broadway hit Cats. That was certainly a perfect show, if ever I saw one, and I'll never forget it. Ha ha!
And now another kick, and Nardballer is out. Her teammate Taint Misbehavin' bounced it right to second base.
It's time for that kickballer to take a journey to the Heaviside layer, as in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats. What a magnificent show that was, Brian TBD, and I hope you are one day blessed enough to see it in person.
I have seen it, and it has nothing to do with kickball. The Brooklyn Lakers are back on offense, and it looks like team member Kobe Koufax is at bat. He kicks, and oh my God, look at that high ball.
And look at Kobe's facial hair, Brian. Just a magnificent arrangement of a petite handlebar mustache with a Balbo beard. It makes me wonder what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearsome symmetry.
And Kobe is out. The high ball has been caught.
But his stupendous facial stylings will remain in our hearts indelibly. Truly a triumph of our times.
But wait, Manwich's third base runner, Jackie Abdul-Jabbar, is making a run for home, and he has scored.
Yes, he has. And at the same time, his teammate Kobe gets the joy of wearing that facial hair home, no matter how he played today. I wonder if he grasps what a monumental achievement his mustache is.
But more importantly, the Brooklyn Lakers have scored again, and it is now 2-0. The Brooklyn Lakers are up now 4-3, but the Manwiches are up to bat, so they might be able to even the score. That pitcher seems to be ready for a battle.
And that kickball has excellent stitching. What do you think? Is that Peruvian or Honduran?
I think the pitcher is throwing that ball. And it's a strike.
So well stitched, I think it has to be Honduran. The Hondurans do excellent basket weaving, you know.
And strike two.
Oh, I take that back. Those aren't stitches. That's just dirt. It's just a rubber ball.
And strike three. That kicker is out.
It still could be Peruvian, though. That is some high-quality rubber, Brian.
This game is very close, folks, with the Brooklyn Lakers garnering a 7-6 lead over the Manwiches. They can still win it, and they have to for good momentum. A loss would be demoralizing in this first part of the season.
And it would be even worse if the Manwiches didn't put on their sunscreen. There is nothing more demoralizing than skin cancer, Brian.
Jesus, skin cancer, Hank? We've got a game going on here, and you want to talk about skin cancer? I mean, that is something to consider, but this is an awfully close game, don't you think?
Oh, look! They've refilled the keg again. That's one of the good things about adult kickball is they always have a beer keg on hand. I'm going to go have a look.
Hank? The game's not over yet. Hank?
And that, my dear woman, was the most spiritually invested I've ever been in the competition of the luge.
The luge? You mean adult kickball?
Yes! Adult kickball. Incredible sport. Incredible stories to be found. So inspiring.
So what was the end result?
It was a wonderful time, and afterwards, I met up with the Manwiches and ate some tacos at their after party.
No, I mean, what was the final score?
You know, a lot of sports like to summarize events with a final score, but adult kickball is different. It's more about the journey and the camaraderie. What I learned from this game is, whether you're a Laker or a Manwich, the kickball game that makes us truly adult is the one where afterward we can make friends over tacos.
So you don't know the final score?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you for your report, Hank.
Thank you.
And that has been sports. Back to the news.
In economic news, Tesla's sales of its cutting-edge electric cars are starting to pick up in New Orleans because citizens are charmed by the novelty of its futuristic left-turn signal. The cars especially appeal to New Orleanians because of their driverless navigation abilities, which allow for an ideal daiquiri drive-through window experience. However, most are taking a wait-and-see approach since it's unclear if Tesla's newest models are able to hop potholes. With a more in-depth economic look, we now switch to the Y'all Things Considered economic reporting segment, Woke Stocks with Chandra Bidell. Here's Chandra.
It's time to occupy Wall Street from the inside. You're listening to Woke Stocks. I'm Chandra Biddle. Today on Woke Stocks, we're going to hold a mirror up to a broken, unjust society, and the reflection will show back the top 15 real estate investment trusts you should short. Then we're going to talk about how Black lives and Black Fridays matter. But first, a review of the state of the market. The NASDAQ is up 12 points on account of its historical ties to white privilege. The S&P is up 12 points, which means it's only up 8 points if you're a woman. Meanwhile, the Tokyo Stock Exchange is down 5 points. But you should keep stocking it until you truly appreciate what down means for Japanese culture. Also, the London Stock Exchange is down 2 points. But it never should have gotten that high anyway, since it's propped up by centuries of colonizing developing nations in lieu of addressing systemic class divisions. England's dreaming indeed. Now, before we get to the meat of the show, it's time for a new segment called Angels for Allies.
Bless you, my child.
This is a segment wherein I interview a startup business intent on giving back to the community, so any investment firms listening to the show can begin discussions about seed funding.
Seed funding.
Our guest today is small business founder Damon Diamond. Good morning, Damon.
Good morning, Chandra.
Please tell us about your business.
Well, Chandra, as you know, the best dogs are rescues. The rescue market is really hot right now, with nearly half of all adoptions coming from a shelter. These dogs are much, much cheaper than buying from a breeder. At the same time, some of these mutts are just a little rough around the edges.
Absolutely. My dog Equity is a rescue, and she was born without knees.
Well, that's where my company Flip My Dog comes in. We buy up the rescues for cheap, make a few little improvements, and then we sell them to those kind-hearted consumers who want a disadvantaged dog, but also want some of the higher quality, more closely approaching that of a breeder's products. I mean, dogs. And, of course, we make a little profit ourselves by selling that adorable little pup at a higher price than what we bought him for. Everybody wins.
That's a wonderful business model, Damon.
Yes, it is. But I don't just want to talk about it. I also brought in some of our most current litter into the studio today to show you what we do.
Oh, this is so cute.
So this is Aggie. She was a bait dog who lost one of her eyes.
Oh, poor girl.
So we took her and we patched her up by replacing that eye with a Fitbit. Now, instead of being a dog with one eye, she's a dog that can tell you the time, the weather, and how many hours she slept last night.
Wow, 17 hours. No wonder she's so happy.
And this right here is King. He lost a leg in a car accident.
Aw, poor King.
Now, King's all better, though, because he has an electric razor scooter where that leg was. Not only can he run 40 miles per hour when this doodad is fully charged, but he can also carry up to 50 pounds on the deck where someone's foot would normally go.
The scooter folds up, too. Very convenient.
But here's who we're most proud of. This here's Weller.
Hi, Weller.
Weller was a police dog who lost most of his body in a car bomb explosion arranged by crime boss Antoine Ballon. Only his head, heart, lungs, and right paw survived. However, we fitted him with this armored shell composite exoskeleton, and as you can see, he gets around just fine. Bow wow.
Oh my, he seems pretty strong. Do you have any concerns about outfitting a traumatized animal with this kind of technology?
Well, like many rescues, Weller does have some anxiety issues, but that's nothing a lovely family couldn't cure. Bow wow, bow wow. Hey! Down, Weller, down! He gets a little over-enthusiastic sometimes. Down! Bow wow. Oh no! Weller's crashed through the studio wall with the cybernetically augmented paws. I better go stop him before he murders a small-time drug dealer without due process. Thanks for the time, Chandra!
Thank you, Damon. Well, my SSJWs, that's Stocks and Securities Justice Warriors, we actually ran out of time for the 11 a.m. slot, but join us this afternoon when we discuss the less discussed letter in LGBTQ and explore investing in questioning owned businesses.
Thank you, Sehandra. The New Orleans City Council is once again holding an online poll to determine what will replace the removed statue of General Robert E. Lee in Lee Circle. Due to having no budget for new signage and city maps, the city is limiting the listed options to Harper Lee, Bruce Lee, Stan Lee, Spike Lee, Geddy Lee, and $6 million man star Lee Majors. The current leader by 87 million votes is the write-in candidate General Robert E. Lee. But after analyzing the IP addresses of the computers that sent in those votes, the city was able to determine that 99.99% of them came from the Russian government, and the remainder came from your uncle in Covington. In cultural news, in anticipation of the MechaCon anime convention, the South's biggest hat store, Meyer the Hatters, is now offering a seasonal special. With every third fedora purchased, customers will get a free samurai sword and wife pillow. If you use the code MILADY during your purchase, the cashier will giggle like a schoolgirl and give a weird peace sign and insist that you do your best. You will also be able to skip any line as long as you run into the store with your arms behind you like a Naruto character. Today makes the 2-year anniversary of Canadian folk singer Gordon Lightfoot's death. Or is he still alive? Our fact checker died yesterday. Her funeral is tomorrow, and it's possible Gordon Lightfoot might attend. Now that's all for this morning. Join us again this afternoon when we do an in-depth report on how the South still struggles to rise again due to obesity, meth use, and an insistence on using white gravy. See you then.
Y'all Things Considered is sponsored by the Lindbergh Baby Wipes. They make things disappear. Y'all Things Considered is also sponsored by the Karen Project, a nonprofit with a goal of talking to all the managers. Y'all Things Considered is also sponsored by the New Orleans Council on Aging. Send us your elderly and we will send them back acting in no way like vampires. Y'all Things Considered is also brought to you by our sponsor, the West Bank. The West Bank, it's like if the movie Mad Max had more Vietnamese people. Y'all Things Considered is also sponsored by the Book of Revelations. You'll love the Book of Revelations because it's the part of the Bible with the most monsters. Y'all Things Considered is also sponsored by the New World Order, the most trusted brand in shadowy cabals. Y'all Things Considered is also sponsored by PepsiCo, the least trusted name in shadowy cabals. Also, a word about our former sponsor, Rosetta Stone. They stopped paying us money, so we won't hesitate to say we actually think they suck. I personally took the Arabic Rosetta Stone course, and I still have no idea what anyone from Araby is saying.
I'm Chip Henry, owner of the crime-fighting supply superstore, Cop Shop, and this is this week's Business New Orleans Info Mini. Today, the topic is crime and how you can stay safe in the greater New Orleans area. First, whenever you go to the French Quarter at night, always make sure you stay where there's a crowd and where there's light. But if you have to park in an area where there are no people or light sources, carry a combo flashlight mace spraying device, like the one we sell at Cop Shop for $29.95. Next, it can be fun to go out in public for second lines, parades, and festivals. But there's no telling when someone is going to start firing a gun to settle a dispute over drug dealing territory. You can't control whether or not this happens, but you can be prepared for when it does. That's why you should always wear a bulletproof vest and bulletproof chaps, which you can find at Cop Shop for $84.95. And if you're going to a fancier event like a wedding or a debutante ball, you can get a bulletproof cummerbund at Cop Shop for $165.95. Finally, you should always stop at red lights. It's the law. But any New Orleans citizen can get carjacked at any time, at any intersection. That's why you should always arm your car with a spring-loaded ejector seat. Now on sale at Cop Shop for $2,595. Come to Cop Shop today, and we'll even up the ante by arming your car with the full safety package of a voice-activated Electro Shield, an inflatable Rottweiler, and a fully functional Ark of the Covenant, all for $95,138.95. This has been the Business New Orleans Info Minute, and you've been listening to an explanation of how you're going to die a grisly, violent death. Unless you come to Cop Shop, right off the service road on Causeway.
Salutations! This is Steve Carell, and you are listening to WRYAT on Public Radio Now. Now get back to the office. That's what she said.
Welcome back. I'm Hack Jobkey, and we're holding a pledge drive for WRYAT so we can bring them up to PRN standards.
We only have microphones because we stole them from the local battle rappers dropping their mics.
Only about a quarter of them work now, but beggars can't be choosers. Honestly, I feel almost all the drops weren't even justified.
Call in to 1-800-PRN-GIVE and donate today. We know you at home rely on WRYAT and PRN not just for your news, but also your history. We give you context to help make sense of the world around you.
Like why the best dresses have pockets.
Or why drag queens don't have more rankings, like drag countesses or drag duchesses.
Well, our educational content doesn't cover those items per se, but you get the idea. We're radio that entertains and informs.
Yeah, like when we tell you need to dump your husband if he tells you your feet are too cold and you need to go see a doctor.
Girl, he is gaslighting you.
Love your body for the temperature it is, ladies.
Sure, you should all love your body, although I want to point out that no programming on PRN is created with the intent of convincing you to divorce your significant other.
Unless it's obvious.
No, PRN does not produce that sort of content.
Hack, are you saying I should stay in my marriage even though I have cold feet?
Girl, he is gaslighting you.
Let's cut to an example of our educational programming, Letters from the Time Capsule, which highlights a new historical letter each week. Please listen, and don't forget to donate.
And now we're going to run another entry in our series, Letters from the Time Capsule, where we do a reading of an historically significant letter in New Orleans history. Today's entry is a certified letter sent from the front lines of the war. Dearest Annabelle, here in New Orleans, the war of northern aggression continues unabated. The other day I saw a man in a bowler hat and hoop earrings selling CBD oil for dogs, and I wept for the South. I continue my support of the great cause, wearing my camouflage shorts, my Pontchartrain beach shirt, my K&B belt buckle, and my LSU hat signed by Frank Davis. I ran an offensive exercise yesterday to test the resolve of the enemy by going to the warehouse district and eating spicy Popeyes outside of a poke luau. Verily, they sell bowls of tuna and brown rice, and you can add an avocado for $1, which is truly against the natural order of God's creation. There's no butter, there's no fat, and they got no Tony Chachere's. They might as well hand you a bowl of Boudreaux's butt paste and wash it down with Dr. Tish Nuts. While hanging about the occupied territory of Girard Street, I overheard some carpetbagger say Company Burger was the best burger in all of New Orleans. And I cried, "Hold your tongue, you northern dog. The General Lee's hamburgers are the supreme standard in this land, for they are ground with onions. And I don't give a damn about no mayonnaise bar. The enemy
immediately retreated into the all-house furniture store, likely to renew their supply of Yankee candles. This was a rare victory in these dark times, but Lord knows they will be back in a fortnight with a tofu banh mi pop-up. I long for your company, Annabelle, but I'm here in Mid-City, and you are far away in old Metairie. I pray this battle will be over soon, especially seeing how we've lost so much. Think of what this war has taken from us. The statue of General Lee in Lee's Circle, the statue of P.T. Beauregard, the Conti Wax Museum, the Bud's Broiler on City Park Avenue, the Morning Call, the Taco Tico on Veterans Avenue, the Taco Tico on Williams, ponchos, and I just pretend like all of the John Best places are gone because I can't tell anyone I go to them. I love you, dearest Annabelle. If I return to you as a lifeless body, please tell my family to take me to the special man. In response, they ought to reply, Letter Avid, with warmest regards, Jelly Roll, Morton Anderson Breeze Delberto Jr.
Thank you for listening to Letters from the Time Capsule. Please join us next time when we air a 1997 letter from Anne Rice to Al Copeland demanding that he stop washing his Chevy Camaro while standing shirtless in his Garden District driveway. Good night.
Welcome back. I'm Hack Jobkey, and we're holding a pledge drive for WRYAT so we can bring them up to PRN standards.
Our soundproofing is just newspaper stuffed into the wall interiors.
They were installed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. You know, on the down low.
Oh, and there's still asbestos in here, and possibly bones. But you know what they say about asbestos?
No, I don't. What do they say?
I don't know. I'm just hoping it's good.
So we definitely need your money to upgrade the recording facilities at WRYAT. Please call 1-800-PRN-GIVE right now. At the very least, a couple dollars will allow us to get the New Orleans Department of Safety and Permits out here to assess everything. And you'll get a free tote bag.
And also, remember, for your money, you also get quality programming on the arts. Shows like Fresh Tears with Terry Gross, where she tries to make celebrities cry. Last show, she made an AI-generated picture of Tom Hanks' grandmother, and she showed it to him when he was very tired.
We also have Doodle Yourself with Rob Boss, a show that teaches you simple ways to draw and employs a dyslexic ex-con at the same time.
And don't forget It's a Bop, where we play the week's top 10 SoundCloud songs for America's oldest retirement home residents. Spoiler, they especially hate Little Pump, and you would think they would like Retrowave, but nope, not that either.
Some have described it as elder abuse, but we call it culture.
Wait, you guys do that? I don't see those shows on the local affiliate programming run-through.
Yes, we do, Hack, because here at WRYAT, our programming pushes the envelope on the arts.
Sometimes, when the It's a Bop producer fails to make a new episode, we just play the sound of a high-frequency dog whistle. We're still trying to find out if there's some noise we can play to get cat owners involved, too.
We used to bring in any stray cats we could find to fight each other on air, but the rabies shots turned out to be too much for our budget.
By Lee Hongji's name, that is not the kind of arts programming that PRN normally associates with. So, you listeners at home or in your cars, please donate now, and we can apply your generous donations to raising the quality of programming here at PRN. In the meantime, here's a classic clip from the popular WRYAT book series, The Reading Love.
Hello, and welcome to The Reading Love, the show for book lovers to express how they feel about the most wonderful thing in the world, books. I'm your host, Lance Peters. As usual, today we're going to explore how the written word makes us all tingly in the body. And here to discuss that wonderful spasm of joy we get from each and every book, it's New Orleans Public Library Director, Dr. Henry Labers. Hello, Dr. Henry.
Hello, Lance.
Thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Now, since we're just two nerdy bookworms, let's get into it, shall we? Is there anything better than a book?
I don't think so, Lance.
And not just for reading. I just love to feel them.
Oh, me too. The roughness of a paperback in my hands is exhilarating.
I see a row of books and I just want to touch them all.
I know what you mean. I wouldn't be surprised if I get banned from a bookstore one day.
Even beyond that, I love the way they smell. That musty, dusty, stale smell.
That smell is intoxicating. Truly wonderful.
I love to touch them and smell them, and sometimes I could just spend whole afternoons just sitting on them.
Ah. Yes, I think I understand. You mean like when your chair isn't tall enough?
No, just when you want to sit on them. Just when you've had a bad day, and you're feeling in the mood, and you just slowly drag yourself across them, and you let those dry, time-soaked, leather-bound covers scratch across your bare cheeks and make everything all right.
Your butt cheeks?
But tell me, Henry, what are some of your favorite books?
Oh, well, you might call me a sentimental old sap, but I always thought Wuthering Heights encapsulated everything that was wonderful about the human condition in one taut, 298-page package.
Oh, I am so glad you brought that book up. I've had to buy so many copies of it since I keep getting the pages stuck together, if you know what I mean.
No. No, I'm afraid I don't.
It's hard for me because my favorite book changes with my mood, but I think my favorite is Last Tango in Paris.
Okay, I'm a bit confused. Isn't that a movie?
Well, I mean, the novelization, of course. The film is fine, but the book is so much more vivid. You almost feel like you're there during the butter scene, groaning along with Brando.
Okay.
I see your facial expression, and I can tell by the look on your face, you probably don't think of novelizations as real books. You're a purist, aren't you?
Well, no, that's not what I was thinking.
I suppose if you pressed me, I'd have to say my favorite non-adapted book was Naked Lunch.
The William Burroughs cut-up novel, right?
I don't know who wrote it, but my stars and garters, I couldn't put it down. There's the stripping of young men and violent orgies, and a man who's eaten by his own anus, and it's just the very definition of art.
I see. Lance, do all of your favorite books involve sex in some way?
By no means, no. What a ridiculous thing to say. I love books of all kinds. I like classical literature, like 100 Days of Sodom, which is all about how Italy's government didn't outlaw any kind of love, and I think that's really relevant today. I read books about race relations, like the novelization of White Emmanuel, Black Emmanuel. I like books about history, like the one Kenneth Starr wrote about Bill Clinton's impeachment of Monica Lewinsky's cigar. I like horror, or at least I like that one chapter in Stephen King's It, where the kids all love each other. As I talked about before, I like Naked Lunch, which I think is a cookbook.
It's not.
Currently, I'm even reading a book on grammar, and it is fantastic.
A book on grammar? Really? What's it called?
The Kama Sutra. It's got a lot of pictures of people conjugating.
Conjugating?
You can tell they all really love each other, and it's really sweet.
Lance, I'm sorry. The name of your show, it's called The Reading Love?
Yes.
Is that because you...
I fuck books.
You fuck books. That's what I thought. I'm going to leave.
Okay, well, thank you for coming, Dr. Henry. It was great talking to you. And thank you for listening, fellow book lovers. Join me next time when we talk about how all those sexy, sexy books out there are just asking for a bookmark. Next week's guest is famed 50 Shades of Grey author E.L. James. We're going to discuss some BILFs, and it's going to get real freaky real fast. Talk to you next week, guys. And remember, if the bookshelf's a rockin', don't come a knockin'. Bye!
Hey, New Orleans, join me, Mumsy Grab'em, for my radio show, Louisiana Smells, the radio show for people who want the sugar state up their nose. Whether it's the musk of a clown barrel at the Angola prison rodeo, or it's the funk underneath Big Al Carnival Tom Johnson's left breast, we're going to explore what's pungent where the Mississippi River goes to die. On this week's episode, I'm going to ask the gutter punks on Esplanade Avenue where they get their patchouli. So tell me, when you're a white person from the Hamptons, how do you strike those wooden notes of lemongrass after your dreadlocks start to ossify?
I'll tell you, man, but you gotta buy some cigarettes for my dog.
Also, we'll ask the owner of a Gentilly Chinese restaurant how he got the most house citations out of any eatery in the Crescent City in 2017.
We just put straight rat in there.
I'm Mumsy Grab'em, and you can listen to Louisiana Smells every Saturday at 2, right after the New Orleans News Quiz Show. Wait, don't stab me. Keep smelling, New Orleans.
Hello, this is Scarlett Johansson, and you're listening to WRYAT on PRN, broadcasting in 11 languages, so you never get lost in translation.
You're listening to Public Radio Now.
To hear part 2 of the WRYAT Pledge Drive, download Side B now. For more information, go to publicradionow.com.